The hidden forces, propaganda, and the shaping of perception. Introduction. Opening hook, attention grabber. What if everything you thought you knew about the world was shaped by forces you can't even see? What if your reality was carefully crafted by unseen hands, nudging your thoughts, your beliefs, and even your actions, without you ever realizing it? Introduce propaganda and perception. Welcome to the world of propaganda, a powerful tool that manipulates public opinion and perception. Propaganda is the art of shaping belief, altering behaviors, and controlling the narrative. But what about perception? Perception is the lens through which we view the world, influenced by emotions, experiences, and, yes, propaganda. In this script, we will unravel how these two forces, propaganda and perception, work together to shape not only individuals, but entire societies. Purpose. This exploration will take you through the mechanics of propaganda, the psychological forces behind it, and its impact on the way we perceive truth. By the end, you'll understand not just how propaganda is used, but how it affects every aspect of your reality. Chapter 1. The Power of Perception. Define. Perception. Our perception of the world is shaped by many factors: our senses, past experiences, biases, and even our emotions. These influences create a personal, often distorted version of reality. For example, why do two people see the same event differently? Because perception is subjective. What we believe to be true often dictates what we see. Introduce selective perception. Selective perception plays a crucial role here. It's the psychological phenomenon where we filter information to reinforce our pre-existing beliefs. We see what we want to see. We hear what we want to hear. This conditioning limits our ability to see things as they truly are. And this is where propaganda comes in. It uses our selective perception to its advantage. Link to propaganda. What if everything we see and hear shapes how we view the world? And what if those messages are being curated for us? Propaganda, when woven into our daily lives, molds our perception of reality. What you believe about the world, about politics, about society, could be a reflection of the messages you've been exposed to over time. Chapter 2. The Mechanics of Propaganda. Psychology behind propaganda. Propaganda is more than just manipulation. It's rooted in psychology. Cognitive biases, like confirmation bias, make us more susceptible to accepting messages that align with our beliefs. Framing, or how information is presented, can completely alter how we interpret a situation. And emotional manipulation, whether through fear or hope, can override our rational thought, triggering us to act without questioning. Techniques of propaganda. Emotional appeal. Imagine a single image, a child crying in the middle of war-torn streets. That image may make us act, to demand justice, to stop a war. Why? Because it taps into our deepest emotions. Emotion drives us to feel empathy and act without fully processing the situation logically. Repetition. Have you ever heard a phrase repeated so often that you started believing it? Repetition is a powerful technique in propaganda. The more you hear something, the more it becomes familiar, and eventually, it becomes true in your mind. Fear-mongering and scapegoating. Fear is one of the most potent tools of propaganda. Politicians and media outlets often use fear to control the masses. Fear of the unknown, fear of the other, fear of change. And when fear is combined with scapegoating, the result is the creation of enemies. They are the cause of all our problems, and it's us versus them. Authority figures. Why do we trust the words of experts and authority figures, even when we know they may be biased? When a respected figure speaks, our perception of reality shifts. Propaganda often uses authority figures to legitimize its message, whether it's a politician, a celebrity, or a scientist. Chapter 3. Historical examples of propaganda. Ancient civilizations. Propaganda isn't a modern invention. In ancient civilizations like Egypt, Rome, and Greece, rulers used imagery, symbols, and monuments to shape public perception. The pyramids, for example, were not just tombs. They were political symbols of divine power, reinforcing the pharaoh's rule as a mandate from the gods. World wars and propaganda. Fast forward to the 20th century, World War I and II saw the rise of mass media as a propaganda tool. Posters, radio broadcasts, and films were carefully crafted to manipulate public opinion. "I want you for U.S. Army," the famous Uncle Sam poster, wasn't just a recruitment tool, it was a call to action, an appeal to national pride and duty. Cold War propaganda. During the Cold War, the battle wasn't just over territory, it was a war for the hearts and minds of millions. The United States and Soviet Union engaged in ideological warfare, using propaganda to portray the enemy as evil and their own way of life as superior. The message: us versus them. Chapter 4. Propaganda in Modern Media. The Evolution of Media. Propaganda has evolved with the rise of new media technologies. In the past, it was confined to print and radio, but with the advent of television and the internet, propaganda found new ways to infiltrate our lives. Today, it's on our phones, personalized for us through social media and algorithms. Propaganda is no longer one size fits all. It's tailored for the individual. Social media and echo chambers. Social media has created echo chambers, environments where we only hear what we want to hear. Algorithms determine what we see in our feeds, reinforcing our biases. Are we still in control of the messages we receive, or are they being shaped by unseen forces? Fake news and disinformation. In a world where everyone can broadcast their own truth, the line between fact and fiction has become increasingly blurred. Fake news is no longer just a problem, it's a weapon. How do we know what's true when propaganda is masked as truth? Chapter 5. The Role of Political Propaganda. Political manipulation. From election ads to speeches, political propaganda is designed to sway our opinions. Politicians carefully craft their messages, using words, images, and symbols that resonate with our emotions. Every slogan, every campaign is aimed at influencing our beliefs and, ultimately, our vote. Case studies. Consider Adolf Hitler's speeches, Donald Trump's social media presence, or Narendra Modi's public rallies. These figures mastered the art of propaganda, using emotional appeals, repetition, and scapegoating to consolidate power. But what made their messages so effective? Was it just their charisma, or was it the way they harnessed propaganda? Democracies versus authoritarian regimes. In democracies, propaganda often masquerades as information, advertisements, news outlets, and political rhetoric. In authoritarian regimes, however, it's the only truth. What's the difference? In a democracy, the illusion of choice remains. In authoritarian regimes, dissent is silenced and propaganda becomes the only narrative. Chapter 6. Ethical Implications of Propaganda, Manipulation versus Persuasion. At what point does persuasion cross the line into manipulation? Propaganda isn't inherently evil. It can be used for good, to mobilize people for a cause or create social change. But when it's used to deceive or control, that's when it becomes dangerous. Propaganda in times of crisis. Propaganda during wars or national crises serves as a rallying cry, but it can also be used to justify atrocities. During WW, for example, propaganda was used to justify internment camps in the U.S. and the mass killing of the other in Nazi Germany. In times of crisis, propaganda is a tool for both unification and division. Chapter 7. The Psychological Impact of Propaganda. Cognitive dissonance and propaganda. Propaganda creates cognitive dissonance, an internal conflict where what we believe doesn't align with what we see. This forces us to adjust our beliefs to fit the narrative we're being fed. Over time, this erodes our ability to critically evaluate information. Shifting perceptions. Continuous exposure to a narrative can shift public perception on social issues, politics, and even reality itself. Over time, a lie can become a truth if repeated often enough. This shift in perception has far-reaching effects on public opinion and individual behavior. Behavioral changes. Propaganda doesn't just change what we think, it changes what we do. It affects voting patterns, consumer habits, and even how we treat others. We live in a world shaped by propaganda, and it's altering how we act every day. Chapter 8. Counteracting Propaganda. The role of media literacy. In a world overwhelmed by information, how can we protect ourselves from propaganda? Media literacy, learning to analyze, question, and critically evaluate the messages we receive, is our best defense. The first step is awareness. The future of propaganda. With advances in AI, deepfakes, and hyper-targeted ads, the future of propaganda is both terrifying and exciting. What happens when technology can create any reality it wants, and we can't tell the difference? The next battle will be fought over the very nature of truth itself. Conclusion. Closing thought. Can you truly see the world for what it is, or is your perception shaped by invisible forces? The truth is out there, but to see it, you must look beyond the narrative that's been created for you. Call to action. Challenge your own perceptions. Question the messages you receive and never stop seeking the truth. In a world flooded with propaganda, your mind is your greatest weapon.